Good day and welcome to Sports Paradise. I'm Dub, short for Big Dub, and remember, wear a dress shirt when you have a job interview, Show up professional looking, whether it's online or in person, and also have at least 3 good questions prepared. There could be a time limit on the interview, so 3 might be the limit you have to ask. Try to fit some in during the interview too, but at the end when they ask, do you have any questions? Be prepared to ask them, creative questions. Get the answers that you need, especially for salary, because that's the most important part. Don't be afraid to ask what you're getting paid. Get your money. So today we're going to talk about the results from the Champions League. We're going to talk about the NHL and NBA. The playoffs are near. The seasons are over. We're going to have a little dash of the Blue Jays and some MLB. And then we're going to talk about the Formula 1 Grand Prix this weekend in China. So in the Champions League this week, the second leg of the ties for the quarterfinals, they really delivered. There weren't as many goals in some of the games as we wanted, but as far as excitement goes, as far as the pressure, as far as watching these players give it their all on the pitch, it didn't let down. Didn't let down at all. Dortmund versus Atletico, one of the most exciting games this week. It was back and forth from pretty much the first tie to the last second. Dortmund were at home. They were at Germany, and they came into this game. They were down 2-1 on aggregate. And at home, it's still hard to win. So I'm gonna say that, like I said, they came out flying with the home crowd. Dortmund, they had the energy, they had the crowd behind them, and they did what they had to do. That 12th man, the Dortmund crowd, the yellow wall, the cheering, the passion, it proved to be too much for Atletico. Dortmund, they came out down 2-1, and bam, they scored the first goal. Julian Brandt with a great first goal made it 2-2. Soon after that, the man who I always said should get some playing time at Chelsea, then they loaned him out in January, Ian Maatsen. A great goal. Sharp angle shot, back of the net. 2-0 Dortmund, 3-2 on aggregate. Just like that first half, they're up. And it's great to see Ian Maatsen doing well. Since he's gone to, there's no room at Chelsea to play him, and he's kind of small, but it's great to see him doing well in Dortmund. Germany is a I wouldn't say it's as tough a league as the Premier League, but Maatsen is a great player, and I saw that from the first time I saw him play in preseason in the summertime. I was like, he should be playing. It should be him, Nkuku, Nico Jackson playing, but obviously that was before Cole Palmer came on the scene. But he's great, and he scored major pressure goal in the Champions League. In the second half, there was an own goal for Dortmund. One of the Atletico players headed the ball, and it kind of flicked off. Like Hummels, I guess he was trying to clear it, or he was trying to get it out of the way from Kobel, the goalie, and it just clipped off him and went in the back of the net. Kobel couldn't react to save it, so it went down as an own goal. It's tough because that made it. In the game, Dortmund was still up, but in the aggregate score, it was now tied. And then to make matters even worse, own goals, they're called own goals because they tend to be avoidable, even though obviously it wasn't on purpose by Hummels. It wasn't as egregious as what Disasi did for Chelsea, pretty much shooting it from halfway back of the net. It wasn't like that, But then, nonetheless, it's still an own goal. It could have been avoided with a different play style, But in the 64th minute, Atletico tied the game. They're back up on aggregate. It was a nice goal, well worked goal, but that's what it was. Dortmund, they just couldn't prevent more goals from happening. You could say that I'm a neutral, but I don't think I am a neutral for this game because I like Dortmund, and like I said plenty times, I'd rather Germany win than a Spain team win, a Spanish team. So with that, it was 4-3 for Atletico in aggregate, but Germans, the crowd, they're just passionate. They don't want to see their team lose. They want to give them every chance as possible. No matter how time is running out, they're still going to try and score and win. We even saw it in the first tie. How Dortmund was trying to come back and score and tie the game up, but they hit the post twice in like the 80th minute beyond. So they were going to get more chances, and at home it's a different story. At home, when they got chances, they capitalized on them. Atletico tied it up, took the lead on aggregate in the 64th minute, but shortly after, 71st minute, bam, goal for Dortmund. It's tied again in aggregate. But they had momentum. Crazy momentum. The crowd is not relaxing anytime soon. Not until, they're probably still hyped from that win, the crowd. Probably could still hear them. That's how loud they were. 3 minutes later, they scored. So 71st minute, they scored, tied it up on aggregate. 74th minute, they scored. Took the lead on aggregate. Incredible. Dortmund didn't look back after that, and they won. They won the game, they won the aggregate score, and they are moving on to the semifinals of the Champions League, which is what I wanted to see. So good for Dortmund, and good for that German team. But you want to talk about, in the last episode of Sports Paradise, I thought that I was like, oh, Dortmund, sometimes they kind of get gypped by the refs. They get bad luck against them, this and that. Like, maybe they're going to lose because of that. And if you want to talk about bad luck, just look at Paris Saint-Germain versus Barcelona. Barcelona was at home. They're up on aggregate. They had everything going for them. They even scored first. They went up 2 goals on aggregate at home in Spain. The entire crowd going crazy. They're up by 2 goals. They scored first. It wasn't looking good. It was looking like another early exit for Kylian Mbappe and PSG, and he's probably just going to be getting ready to go to Spain, Real Madrid next season. That's how it was looking, because it was 4-2 on aggregate. And even though it was still early on, all the factors were not in PSG's favor, and it was looking real dire. Until a red card for Barcelona player Arroyo. Tough to see. Like I said, I'm cheering for PSG in this matchup, so I was like, oh, good for them. Like, it's a red card, they're gonna have a chance to win, but it was tough because the game changed just like that, and the PSG player was running with the ball. Barcola was running with the ball, like he was near the box, the penalty area, and he got taken down by Arroyo. And if it was inside the penalty box, it would have been a penalty, and Barcelona would probably have preferred that. But because Barcola was pretty much on a clear-cut breakaway towards the goal, he denied a goal-scoring opportunity. straight red card from the referee. Just like that, down to 2 men. So, talk about bad luck, because Barcelona would have won that game. It's hard to say for sure, but Barcelona definitely would have won that game. So soon after, you felt like PSG had to at least score one more goal in the second, like at least score one goal in the first half to make it a bit closer. They wouldn't want to have to come out and score a whole bunch of goals in the second half. That's a lot of pressure, and they did. Dembele, I learned that he was an ex-Barcelona player. Now he's on PSG. Back of the net goal. He even scored, or yeah, he did score in the last week's match against Barcelona too. You know, players playing their old teams, they always want to do well. And Dembele, talk about doing well. Just like he only scored twice in the Champions League, and they're just burying his former team, Barcelona. So going into the second half, the score was tied 1-1, but on aggregate it was 4-3 for Barcelona. So second half came around, Barcelona still with 10 men on the pitch, and of course you had to think that PSG's manager was going to, do some new tactics. They're gonna play with some great energy, trying to be focused, trying to create more chances. It took a while for them to break through. It took a while. But before they knew it, Vitinha scored for PSG, making it 2-1. The whole matchup is now tied 4-4. And you just had to think that, Mbappe hasn't scored yet, and he has to score. Barcelona's tied. Barcelona's down to 10 men. That's not looking good. They're trying everything. Every single thing they're trying, Barcelona, but Mbappe is inevitable. He scored 3-1 PSG. They're leading 5-4 in aggregate. And after that goal went in, it was definitely, you feel like that was definitely the end of it. Barcelona, they did have their chances here and there, but they weren't serious chances. And then PSG could just break because they're trying to score, but because Barcelona was trying to score and they couldn't get back in time, so PSG would just break, rush on the field, and create chances for themselves. And then Barcelona had to get the ball back. Barcelona players were tired. It wasn't good. So 3-1 for PSG, 5-4 in aggregate. The red card was the worst thing that could have happened. That for sure ended their chances, Barcelona's chances. And to put the last nail in the coffin for Barcelona, Mbappe scored to make it 4-1. PSG on to the semifinals of the Champions League. Now, yesterday's games were exciting, but they weren't, full of goals. You want them to be, you want to have a lot of goals in the Champions League, but you can tell that they're playing rather tight. Real Madrid, they scored first. Rodrigo scored off a rebound that Man City's goalie allowed. First made a nice save, but he couldn't corral it, and he got the rebound, and Rodrigo scored it. But Real Madrid, they weren't even creating that many chances. They weren't dominating the game. They just got that one goal, and that carried them to the end. Man City was at home. The crowd was cheering. They were bleeding, yelling, just nonstop yelling, trying to will the team to score. They couldn't score. The commentators are wondering who's gonna blink first. Is Ancelotti gonna bring on some defensive subs, some players who could score another goal? Is Pep gonna bring on some subs to try to create some more chances? And it was almost as if Pep waited until the last minute Like Haaland, he couldn't get any chances. Like he's been on a goal scoring drought, and you think that at home maybe he will score, especially in this kind of game, but he's been on a drought for sure. And after one of their losses, or was it? I forgot what happened or what the scenario was where Man City did they? I don't know, but one of the talking heads for England, like Sky Sports or whatever, was saying that Haaland, without like getting tapping goals, is like a league, like a championship player, like Premier League championship, like that sort of player. And hey, I don't want to talk too much smack because next thing you know he's gonna own Chelsea this weekend. But I guess it all depends on if he gets the right setup, because he can't create goals on his own. That's the thing. So Haaland couldn't get chances, couldn't get free. Foden was trying to create chances, but his shots kept on getting blocked. Like Madrid were playing great defense under pressure. And finally, Pep Guardiola, Man City manager, brought on Jeremy Doku. Just changed the whole tempo up. Every time Man City was attacking, the ball found Doku on the left side of the pitch. And sometimes he ran the ball in, lost it. Sometimes he ran the ball in, made a pass, but the shot was blocked. Sometimes he ran the ball in, and he was just he went to a corner, But then Doku ran the ball in down the left side, shot it, rebound off the goalie for Real Madrid. Kevin De Bruyne right there to slam the ball home. 1-1. The crowd's going crazy, and then the aggregate score is also tied. That would be what, 4-4. So that's what it was. Near the end of the game, almost at 90 minutes, Kevin De Bruyne had an even easier chance than the one he scored on, but this one went right over the net. So the game went to extra time. Nothing was solved. Pep took off Erling Haaland. He brought on Julian Alvarez. Couldn't score still. Penalty kicks in the Champions League to see who's going to go to the finals. To the semifinals, I should say. And I thought that Man City was at home. They're going to win. They scored first, and Real Madrid's shot was saved. But then Bernardo Silva, I don't even know what he was doing, but his penalty kick was like 2 miles per hour right at the goalie's chest. He caught it and was like, he just caught it and tossed it back as if nothing happened. I'm like, what kind of attempt is that? Real Madrid scored. Penalty kicks are tied. And then Man City, they missed again. And that's all that Real Madrid needed, because they didn't miss all the way through. Their goalie made some great saves, and their players, they lived up and performed under pressure. I mean, I like Jude Bellingham. I was watching his penalty take, and I was like, if he misses this and Real Madrid loses, you're gonna see how many players are gonna say Cole Palmer is better. But didn't happen, and we never know what would have happened. So, Real Madrid on to the semifinals. Arsenal versus Bayern, the last game of the Champions League quarterfinals. They went into that game tied 2-2. They were at Germany and Bayern Munich's home stadium, and I don't know. You could see that maybe Arsenal, they didn't have it. They weren't creating that many chances. They created some chances, but then Neuer was there or the shot was blocked. But they weren't creating chances like you're used to seeing them create. They weren't even close, it seemed like, compared to what they're used to, Finally, the first half ended. Still tied, 0-0, 2-2 on aggregate. Second half begins, time's going by. 50th minute, 60th minute, still nothing. And then halfway through the 60th minute, 64 minutes into the game, across into the box. Joshua Kimmich comes flying in. Boom! Heads it. Back of the net. Past Arsenal goalkeeper. 3-2 in aggregate score for Bayern Munich. And that's all they needed. So, I mean, Arsenal, typical. They couldn't create anything. They couldn't really do anything. Bayern's been struggling this entire season. They can't win any more German cups. They're not going to win the Bundesliga. This is all they have. The Champions League is all they have this season. Thomas Tuchel, he's a specialist. He won Champions League with Chelsea, 2021. But besides that, they've been struggling all season, Bayern. But Thomas Tuchel seems to be a Champions League professional, and he knows what to do, how to motivate the players, and get what he wants done. That's what they did. Bayern showed some good heart. Harry Kane continues to own Arsenal. He was saying, I believe, before the game that he's sure that there's a whole bunch of fans in England right now, Tottenham fans, praying that Bayern Munich win this game. And honestly, as a Chelsea fan, I was happy too they lost that game. But I also don't mind Bayern, but as far as Arsenal goes, or as far as England goes, Premier League goes, Chelsea. Or if not Chelsea, then Man City, just so if it's not broke, don't break it until Chelsea breaks it. We'll see how they do next year, Chelsea. So, there aren't any more English teams in the Champions League. Like Arsenal, wasn't a surprise. They're not up for the challenge. Bayern is a Champions League team. They're used to this kind of level of play. Thomas Tuchel, used to this level of play. This is Arsenal's first time in the Champions League in, I think, a while maybe. And they're going to be back next year anyways. And they do have, choking habits. Most recently, we saw that over the weekend when they lost to Aston Villa. And I believe Arsenal was at home for that game and they lost. Man City, I'm a bit more surprised. It's hard to be surprised, especially because Real Madrid is Champions League also. Like they're just a Champions League juggernaut as usual. But I felt like Man City was at home and they should have won that game. That's what I felt like. So no more England teams in the Champions League. There are two German teams, Dortmund and Bayern, Spanish team Real Madrid, and the French team Paris Saint-Germain. My bracket, I picked PSG, Dortmund, Arsenal to move on, and Man City, and I only got two right. I picked City to win, and they're already out, so we'll see how PSG does. I picked them to make it to the Champions League finals and lose to Man City, but maybe they'll lose to Real Madrid. Or maybe they'll beat Real Madrid. That'll be interesting. Kylian Mbappe. But I'll make my predictions next week or so. Real Madrid is playing Bayern on April 30th. And Dortmund is playing PSG on May 1st. Book your tickets. So in the NBA, the play-in tournament is halfway over. There are a couple of good games, a couple of kind of blowouts. But on the first day of the play-in tournament, the Lakers beat the Pelicans. And now the Lakers will move on to face the Nuggets in round 1. That game was exciting. It was back and forth. Pelicans had the lead for a bit. Lakers had the lead down the stretch. Pelicans came back and made it close. Then Zion, he got hurt and he left the game. The worst time. I feel like he was healthy all season and now he got hurt in the worst time. Although the Pelicans are not totally out of the playoffs yet, but I haven't really heard that much news about Zion, whether he's going to be playing or not playing against the Kings. But the Lakers are moving on. They have the 7th seed and they're going to be facing the Nuggets. The Sacramento Kings beat the Golden State Warriors. That was good to see that the Kings won. that game. They won pretty handedly too. It wasn't like they were sweating. And now they're gonna be facing the Pelicans to see who gets the 8th seed. The Warriors are done. Who knows if they're done, being consistent at winning. Klay Thompson is a free agent, and during that game against the Kings, he went 0 for 10. Like not good. But of course, Klay Thompson is one of my favorite players, so it's tough to see him be injured back in the day and then have to come back and not be the same as he used to be. But he is one of my favorite players, and he's still great. Maybe he can go to a new team, or maybe Golden State will sign him and maybe be like, okay, you gotta be coming off the bench, etc. But we'll see what happens. But he's not the only, 0 for 10. If he was how he usually is, Golden State would have won that game. But yes, he couldn't. It was tough. So in the Eastern Conference, the Sixers won yesterday in exciting fashion. They beat the Heat by 1 point. And now the Sixers, with Joel Embiid back and healthy, Tyrese Maxey playing well, are going to face the Knicks in round 1. The Bulls, they blew out the Hawks last night, and they're moving on to play the Heat to see who will get the 8th seed. And the Hawks are out. So the Bulls are going to face the Heat, but sadly, it seems like they're going to be without Jimmy Butler for a long period of time. Maybe for the entire playoffs, depending on how far they make it, because I think he has an MCL sprain. He got it last night, and he's hurt. The Bulls, I'm not sure how good they are. I'm not sure if they can beat the Heat even without Jimmy Butler. It's gonna be tough for them for sure, but the Bulls can pull it off. It's gonna be tough. But we'll see. I'm gonna give my predictions, shortly. So round 1 begins on Saturday, the 20th of April. Round 1 of the NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs start on Saturday. We'll get to NHL. But we're going to see who gets the 8th seed. When I give my predictions, what I think is that I think the Bulls will beat Miami and face the Celtics in round 1, and I think the Kings are gonna beat the Pelicans and face the Thunder in round 1. But no matter what, I feel like Celtics and Thunder will beat whoever they play. So my Eastern Conference predictions are as follows. Whether it's like Celtics, whether it's they're facing Bulls or Heat, I'm going to pick Celtics to win that. Maybe if it was I feel like the Bulls can beat the Heat in a 1-game series and make the playoffs, but I feel like the Celtics would sweep the Bulls. But I feel like maybe the Heat could manage to win 1 game against the Celtics. But either way, Celtics are going to win 4 or 5. Next game, Knicks versus Sixers. It's too bad that Joel Embiid was hurt, because Sixers arguably would have been in that position, second place in the Eastern Conference, and Knicks would have been third. And they wouldn't be playing each other. The Sixers are a top team in the East, or a top team in the league, and now that Joel Embiid is back, they're just going to try to prove that. And it's tough for them because they're going to be on the road, and those first 2 games at Madison Square Garden are going to be insane. The Sixers, they can handle that. Embiid, he can handle that. I really haven't seen how he does under pressure. He lost to the Raptors that time when Kawhi made the shot, but that was Kawhi is a better player than him. The Knicks aren't going to have a couple of their star players playing. Randall is gonna be out. I don't know if OG Anunoby's gonna be playing. So honestly, I'm gonna pick the Sixers to win that. It could go to 7. It could go to 7. I'll say Sixers. The Bucks versus the Pacers. That's another tough series to predict because the Bucks are gonna be without Giannis. I'm not sure if it's gonna be for the entire series or just like a couple of games, but it's a tough series to pick because because for example Dame and Tyrese Halliburton are kind of a wash, and I feel like as far as the depth players go, like the Bucks might have a little bit of an edge, but they've been going downhill. Oh man, they've been really going downhill. They've been reeling as of late. They lost to a bunch of teams who are terrible, and now without Giannis for some time. Oh, this is gonna be tough. Dame gonna be by himself. Like I thought I was gonna pick the Bucks to win, but now that I think about it and reasoning it out, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna pick the Pacers to win that series. Next one, Cavaliers versus Orlando Magic. I feel like the Magic they aren't just yet ready to move on to win a series. I mean, maybe if it was like, well, the Raptors suck, so whatever. But I mean, I feel like the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell, they have like Mobley, they have a good team, they have some good depth players. Magic, they're still kind of young. I feel the Cavs with home court are gonna win that series. So, Western Conference. Thunder versus the Kings or Pelicans. That could be an interesting series, but I feel like the Thunder are a great team. They're like a great all-around team, while the Kings, I wouldn't say they play defense that much. Like I feel like it's gonna be a struggle. I feel like depth-wise, like coaching-wise, I feel like Thunder are better, even though like De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis are like superstar players. But I feel the Thunder will win that against Kings or Pelicans. I believe it's going to be facing the Kings, and I think it's going to be Thunder taking it in like 6 maybe against the Kings. Next series, Nuggets versus Lakers. Nuggets are on an 8-game win streak versus the Lakers. Last year in the playoffs, the Nuggets swept them clean. And if it's going to come down to Jokic and Anthony Davis, Jokic is the best player. Davis, he seems to struggle against other top big men. Maybe this season he's gonna, come out and learn, maybe improve. But Nuggets are the best team in the league, and I believe they're gonna win against the Lakers. Next series, Wolves versus Suns. So Towns is back, and that's good. Anthony Edwards back, or is always gonna be there for the Wolves. But the Phoenix Suns, like, something about the Suns, like everyone knows that I'm a fan of the Suns. KD, Devin Booker, they have a lot of they're getting better at depth. Nurkic, Grayson Allen, they're coming around. But those big men on the like Gobert, Towns, it's gonna be tough with the Suns. But I'm gonna pick them just because I want to pick them. The Wolves, The Wolves, they're a good team, but Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, they're just straight up shooters. They come in clutch in the playoffs, and it's obviously a biased take maybe, but I'm gonna pick the Suns to win that game, that matchup. And then Clippers versus Mavericks. Like the Clippers are full of overrated superstars. Full of as in James Harden, Paul George. Russell Westbrook isn't overrated. He's a hustler. He's just maybe getting up there in age. And Kawhi Leonard is incredible. But the Mavs, I don't think they're good at defense that much. And they only have Luka and Kyrie Irving. Their team is still trying to gel. It could go to game 7. And if it does, we'll see. But for now, I'm picking the Clippers. I'm picking the Clippers to win that series. And as this is like my official pick, just because it's starting, but I'm gonna give more picks as the rounds, go on. I'm gonna pick the next round after that, and the championship. But as far as right now goes, I'm picking the Nuggets to repeat as champions, go back to back. Pull the Kansas City Chiefs. So the Maple Leafs, down the stretch, it seemed like all they wanted to do was get Matthews 70 goals. He taking shot after shot after shot after shot after shot and couldn't get it. Last night he got 12 shots. He couldn't get it. And that made the Leafs really suffer because that's all they were focused on. Like they were just, it seemed like anyone else who scored yesterday, it was like, oh, Ryan Reeves scored, oh, like Gregor scored, Brody scored, oh man, come on. It felt like that. It felt like if it wasn't Matthews and didn't really care to play, and that's how it seemed for the final few games of the season, and they ended the season on a 3-game losing streak. If Matthews got 70 goals earlier, or if they weren't, it's hard to not focus on it. Of course, it's history, but like that's why, for example, getting 100 assists is impressive, but 70 goals is even harder. So I'm not gonna discount what Matthews did this season, but getting 100 assists, as far as what's hard to do, as you can see, 2 people got it this year, McDavid and Kucherov. Matthews couldn't get 70, and I wouldn't say it's his fault, but they're definitely focused on that a lot, and it cost the Leafs, wins down the stretch. So hopefully, now's the end of the season. Matthews can just get that monkey off his back and focus on playing Boston in round 1. Oh man, see, like if only they beat Florida, see, they would have avoided Boston and faced Florida. But you have to face your demons someday. The Capitals face their demons. They're down. Okay, the whole story. Down 0-2 against Columbus, won that 4-2. They exercised their demons, beat Pittsburgh 4-2. Didn't go to Game 7. Beat Tampa Bay. They were down 3-2, forced Game 7. Won the series in 7 games. They beat Marc-Andre Fleury against the Golden Knights and won a Stanley Cup. So facing your demons, exercising your demons is possible, Maple Leafs. You can do it. And I feel like they don't want to get pushed around. I feel like even if they're doing it for no reason, just to prove that they're not going to get pushed around and not actually feeling it, I feel like that's still important, because then eventually they're going to feel it. The Leafs are going to feel it. And I don't think this time around they're going to allow themselves to get beat up by Boston. And I'm feeling not so confident because it's Boston and it's the Leafs, but I'm going to watch and I'm going to pray for the Leafs to win. Because McDavid and because Kucherov got 100 assists, maybe McKinnon, that's all the hype that's been, that's all the talk that's been around. Like McKinnon has hardly been getting any talk these days. So who knows? Maybe McDavid or Kucherov will win MVP. If Matthews got 70, maybe he would have won MVP. I mean, right now, I would still pick McKinnon to win MVP, but it seems like he's kind of going under the radar. He has a chance. I'm not even sure if he's going to be playing tonight, because I think his matchups are already set. But if he plays tonight, goes out strong, gets a few points as usual, maybe the talk would be once again about him. But it's not looking. I don't know. I would still pick McKinnon to win the MVP. Seems like Quinn Hughes over Kyle McCarr for the Norris. Seems like Connor Hellebuck for Winnipeg over Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky led the league in shutouts, but Connor Hellebuck has just been so consistent for the Jets. So, the Western Conference playoffs aren't totally set yet, but the East is. Rangers playing the Capitals. Panthers, Battle of Florida, facing the Lightning. Carolina Hurricanes versus the Islanders, and the Leafs versus the Bruins. It seems that in the Western Conference so far, what's official is that the Jets are gonna be facing the Avalanche. That's could be high scoring. And it seems like the Canucks are gonna be playing the Nashville Predators. And so tonight, the Kings are facing, well, tonight, the Kings are facing the Blackhawks, and the Knights are facing the Ducks. So both these teams are trying to fight for playoff position, and they're facing, relatively easy teams. So currently, the Kings are in the second wildcard spot, and the Knights are third in the Pacific. If both teams win tonight, the Kings is going to stay the same. Kings will be second wildcard spot, and Knights will be third in the Pacific. And if the Kings win, they will play the Stars in the first round. And Kings win if both, if the Kings and the Vegas Knights, Golden Knights both win, the Kings will face the Stars, and Knights will play Edmonton. If Kings win and the Knights lose, it's gonna be the opposite of that. The Knights will face Dallas, and the Kings will face Edmonton. So, let's give out some predictions for these NHL playoffs. In the Battle of Florida in the Eastern Conference, the Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got off to a slow start because Vasilevsky was hurt. He didn't really start he didn't start the season. I think he was out for the first 2 months. The Lightning made some key deadline moves. They bolstered their defense. They got Duclair. They got Dumba. They still got Kucherov, Braden Point, and of course Hedman and Vasilevsky. And I think they're just faster and better than the Panthers. The Canes versus the Islanders. I'm going to pick Carolina to win that. Carolina has great goaltending, and they have great skill players. The Caps versus Rangers. Can I justify this without sounding unbiased? I'm going to pick the Capitals, the Rangers, President's Trophy winners. Capitals just snuck into the playoffs on the last day. You can say they got lucky, but who knows what would have happened even if they didn't score the empty netter. But I'm going to pick the Capitals to win. President's Trophy winners, they always have some bad luck. They don't move on. The Capitals know they've been an amazing team, President's Trophy winner, and they've lost to teams where it was a major upset. Capitals, Ovechkin, their veteran core, their goaltending, their young core, the Rangers, they're obviously a good team, but the Capitals are going to win that series. And then the Bruins versus the Leafs, and once again, can I justify this pick without sounding biased? The Leafs, like I was saying before, they don't want to be pushed around. They have players who are just as good, just as strong. Maybe not. Well, it's tough. It's tough. The goaltending, the defense. Oh man, I don't know, but to just kind of get pushed around. I'm gonna pick the Leafs to win that series. Whatever. So, the Jets versus the Avalanche. I'm gonna pick the Avalanche to win that. Canucks versus Nashville Predators. I'm picking the Canucks to win that. So, if it's Stars versus Kings, I'm picking the Stars. If it's Stars versus Knights, I'm picking the Knights. If it's Edmonton versus the Knights, I'm picking the Oilers. And if it's Edmonton Oilers versus the Kings, I'm still picking the Oilers. I guess that shows. Like, I feel like the Knights are better than the Stars, but the Kings aren't better than the Stars, and I feel like Edmonton is better than the Knights or the Kings. That's what I feel like. I'll gradually make my other picks as time goes on, but like, I mean, my round by round picks, but I feel like Stanley Cup winner is going to be Tampa Bay. And if I was being biased to make my pick, I would pick the Maple Leafs to win the Stanley Cup. I would say it's going to be, unbiased, Tampa Bay versus Edmonton. And if I was being biased in my pick, I would pick Leafs versus Edmonton. I don't see the Jets going that far. Maybe the Avalanche can do some work, win another Stanley Cup. McKinnon win 2 Stanley Cups. But Edmonton, let's see how they do. Hopefully they can, go far, but not win the cup, because the first Canadian team to win the cup in a while has to be the Maple Leafs. Looking forward to it so much. You just wait all season long, 82 games, entire, from fall to winter to spring. Playoffs are here. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, exciting time. Champions League, exciting time. So in the MLB, the Jays, they were on a 4-game losing streak. I mean, they've won 3 straight series. They're above 500. They're facing the Yankees this last series, won the first 2 games, but then they were leading in the last game yesterday, but they blew it. They ended up they were up 4-2, bottom or top of the 9th, and they ended up losing 6-4. So Eric Swanson, like, Romano came back from injury yesterday, and he allowed a run, or 2 days ago. But yesterday Swanson was put in high leverage, and it seemed like he wasn't ready yet. He allowed all the runs to score against him. They took him out before he allowed any runs. Tay Meza came in, and that's when he allowed the hits that scored the runs. But Swanson, he wasn't ready yet. It seemed like Yimi Garcia was unavailable. He's had an amazing season. Like, talking about, like, every year improving. Like, he's developing into a stud reliever. Maybe he'd be valuable at the trade deadline. But to have a bullpen like what the Jays are gonna have once their players are back. You got Romano closer. You got Chad Green. You got Eric Swanson, and you got Yimi Garcia. That's 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th inning right there. Four studs out of the bullpen. And for some reason they sent out Nate Pearson, who was not pitching badly at all. But that's okay. Maybe he'll be back up. Because Pearson could be like a long inning reliever, if one of our starters gets hurt early, or they need like a spot start, like an opener sort of thing. That's what Nate Pearson would be very good at. So yeah, yesterday Garcia was unavailable. Romano pitched 2 days ago, so they weren't gonna make him pitch high leverage back-to-back games. I don't know where Chad Green was, but Swanson, Tim Meza blew the game and blew the sweep. But all in all, like, you just hate losing the last game of the series, but they're on a 4-game winning streak, and the Yankees are a good team. Like, Judge, Rizzo, Soto, great team. Stanton even had some key hits for them. Blue Jays are facing the Padres next. They're going on the road to San Diego to play the Padres, and it's always fun facing like West Coast teams in the National League because you don't really get to see them so often. So that's going to be a good series. Only problem is that it's going to be starting late, but luckily it's over the weekend, so it's not like anyone has work Saturday, Sunday, hopefully, or Friday night too. But I guess on Saturday or Sunday, the game would start early. So even though you have work on Monday, you'd be okay. So just some baseball news, some minor news. The Houston Astros are gonna get Justin Verlander back tomorrow. He's gonna be starting on Friday. Tomorrow, Padres, they're getting ready to face the Blue Jays, and Darvish is gonna be on the IL. I think he has like a neck strain, so I guess the Jays might see Joe Musgrove, Dylan Cease, and someone else, their third starter. Atlanta put Ozzie Albies on the IL, so Atlanta has lost Spencer Strider and Ozzie Albies in span of 1 week. They're really going through it. And top pitching prospect Jack Leiter is making his debut tonight, April 18th. So we'll see how he does. I wish him all the best. As far as baseball goes, I enjoy pitchers the most, and an outfield, and obviously the entire game. So I don't really want to see prospects get smoked in their debuts. I don't mind the Rangers too much, so hopefully they can do well. I remember Jack Leiter was on Vanderbilt and he was going crazy in the College World Series. So let's see what he does in the big leagues. One thing to talk about after a 2-week break. I don't know why it was 2 weeks, because I feel like Japan is near China, but after 2 weeks, the Chinese Grand Prix is back. There hasn't been a Grand Prix in China for some time, but they've come back to China this weekend. It's my first time going to be watching a Chinese Grand Prix, and the circuit looks like it's quite exciting. There's a couple of long straights, and it's very curvy, very topsy-turvy, that sort of thing. And it seems like there's going to be a lot of chances for overtaking, which is good. So this weekend is a sprint weekend, so there's going to be a lot of events, a lot of excitement this weekend in Formula One. Only problem is that it's going to be, in the middle of the night for me, or very early or very late, depending on where you were. It's not going to be at an ideal time for anyone, really, unless you're in that part of the world. But on the 19th, so tomorrow, tomorrow, 3:30 a.m., so quite early. I gotta record it and watch it when I get home tomorrow from the gym and whatnot, because tomorrow's the 19th, Friday. The sprint qualifying is gonna be starting at 3:30. Crazy. And then later on that evening, 11 p.m. Eastern. So 3:30. The times I'm saying are Eastern time, Toronto time. So and then later on in the night, so 19th, Friday the 19th, tomorrow, 11 p.m. is when the sprint race is going to start, and that should last an hour, go until midnight. And then qualifying is going to be Saturday morning at 3 a.m. And then the race is going to be Sunday morning at 3 a.m. So I'm going to have to do some major recording, because I know I'm not going to be able to stay awake for that long, or into the middle of the night. So I'm going to record it, stay off Twitter, and stay off Instagram, and enjoy it in the morning time, which I like doing. I like doing it. But I just can't wait till they're back in a decent time where I can wake up just 9 o'clock Sunday morning and watch the race live. They're in Australia. They're in Japan, and now in China. Ay. But luckily they start with those races, not wait till the middle of the season. I think the next late race is probably gonna be when they're in Las Vegas. So as far as the sprint weekend goes, I like that there's more action, more races, more events, more fun, but they should make more sense, the sprint race. I feel like you don't really need to have a second qualifying. I feel like whatever place you come in after the sprint race is what you start the regular race in, and then have the points, go on from there. But because it feels like they're just having a sprint race just for it's a whole separate thing, just to have more racing when it really doesn't mean anything. It only makes you get more points, but it's not like related to the actual Grand Prix event on Sunday. Like the sprint, they should have qualifying for the sprint, then the actual sprint race, and then whoever comes in, whatever the order that they end in, that should be the race for the race order for the Grand Prix race, which I just said, but I'm just trying to clarify. You don't need to have another qualifying. You don't really need to have another qualifying after the sprint race, I feel. But hey, sells more tickets, more views, and it's a business at the end of the day. So I don't mind. I really don't mind seeing more racing, but they should just make it, better, more efficient. So I feel like the top three is gonna be as usual. Mercedes is gonna be where they usually are, like 7th, 8th, 9th place. McLaren is gonna be 6th, 7th place. Maybe Fernando Alonso is gonna be up there. Ferrari 4th, but 1st, 2nd, 3rd, Max, Checo, Carlos Sainz. You never know how Leclerc is gonna do, but Sainz has been absolutely off the charts all season long. He got his appendix removed and he's still doing great. So I feel like he's gonna come 3rd, Max 1st, Checo 2nd. The sprint race could have some more surprises, like it might be Max 1st and then 2 Ferraris, because I feel like Checo won't do so well. Like he'll either do well in the sprint and not the race, or he'll either do well in the race and not the sprint. I feel like he'll do better in the race because the sprint is too short. So I feel like maybe the order for the sprint, which is not really that important, is gonna be Max, Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc. But you never know, the McLaren could surprise. Piastri has been great. Like if Piastri wins a race before Lando Norris, that's gonna be something funny. Because I feel like he's been maybe a bit better than Lando since even last year. We'll see who gets these like this Red Bull seat is gonna be opened up. Should be. We'll see who gets that. Okay. This weekend is gonna be the NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs, Formula 1 Grand Prix, MLB, Jays are in San Diego, but the biggest event of the weekend, for sure, Chelsea's semifinal against Man City. And all Chelsea fans are watching that game with Man City versus Real Madrid. Like, yes, you're running up and down, you're bringing in subs, you're tiring yourselves out, you're going into extra time. They got like Man City has got to play Chelsea in less than a week after that massive game. So, it could take a toll against them. Like it could take a physical toll and a mental toll against for Man City against Chelsea. So hopefully Chelsea can come out flying like they did against Everton and score some goals and hold the lead. I don't know what the lineup's going to look like because I feel like Enzo is going to be back. And after they were fighting over the penalty, like is Madueke gonna still get in the game? Like Jackson is a staple, but are you gonna really start Raheem Sterling? I don't think so. Madueke, I just hope that they don't like don't hold on to that what happened, and like Madueke starts playing selfish, like Cole Palmer starts playing selfish, like Nico starts playing selfish. Mudryk is not selfish, but those three guys, I hope they don't start playing selfish and just try to one up each other. They got to be playing as a team. Like Poch has to install that in them. Like, but even if Madueke plays, Sterling is also selfish, so you really can't win. I just hope, like, the midfield, Gallagher is going to be in automatically. Caicedo, we'll see what happens with Enzo. That's the thing. But even the biggest thing is going to be the two center backs. And I feel like it has to be Silva, no matter what. And I feel like it has, well, Chalobah's been playing well. But I feel like the last time Chelsea faced Man City and they tied, Disasi was a major part of that. So I feel like Disasi and Silva, it should be the finals. Like, I mean, not the finals, but the two center backs. So, like, oh man, to cut off Enzo just like that, if he's healthy, I feel like Enzo should play. But ideally, you gotta go Petrovic, Gusto, Disasi, Silva, Cucurella. You gotta go Caicedo. You gotta go Gallagher, and you gotta go Palmer, Mudryk, Madueke, Jackson. 11. It's Enzo. They gotta. I don't know what's gonna happen with that lineup, but maybe they have to experiment again with Enzo, at least coming off the bench, and see how that works if he's able to play. So next week we're going to be talking about that result, Chelsea versus Man City, FA Cup semi-final, NBA NHL playoffs, the F1 Chinese Grand Prix results. The Premier League is still going to be playing next week during the weekend, and we're going to be talking about some MLB updates. So with that, thanks for watching this episode of Sports Paradise. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you're thinking, your thoughts, etc. And secondly, remember to have a great day. Today is Thursday. Enjoy your Thursday, and enjoy your Friday, and enjoy your weekend.